He is Reggie Wayne. Reggie, it is so good to have you on. Reggie, how are you?
I'm good, Jim. Appreciate you having me.
God, so good to have you, Reggie. Great to hear your voice. Now, let me ask you, I want to talk about a number of things with you, but you had a tweet last week that I thought was really interesting. Let me read this. Quote, I'm not buying into all these teams in the NFL until week 3, maybe week 4. As much as we players may not want to play in preseason games, it's necessary on so many levels. Them joint practices during training camp are cool and all, but it's not a real game. End of quote. I think that's really interesting. Can you start there? Break that down. How important are preseason games from a receiver standpoint, and then how long does it take for most guys to get their timing down?
Well, you got to understand, Jim, you're going in, especially nowadays, right? You with the OTAs and all that stuff. It's not like it was like when I first got in the league. Everything is no pads and no helmets, and you're just basically out there running on air, no competition, whatever the case may be. But the preseason is one of those things where I really feel like it helps you kind of get back into football shape, right? Get back into the game. Like, games, it moves so fast. Everything happens in a split of a second. Joint practices is cool. It's cool to have, but it's nowhere close to being in the game. And like you mentioned about with my quote, like as much as us, especially veteran players, we don't want to play in preseason, and it's mainly because, like, the pay is not the same, and 2, you don't want to get hurt. You know what I mean? And but for a receiver, like, we need that timing with the quarterbacks. You really do. And some people may argue, well, that's what you practice for. Yeah, but practice and games aren't the same. Practice when it may be, if it's a camp practice that may have a few thousand people compared to 65,000 people, that's a difference in itself. You know what I mean? And now you got somebody that's really trying to make a roster, and out there, and they know that their moms and dad and friends are watching, like they're coming after you. You know what I mean? So, like, it's just a difference all across the board, and I think it's necessary. I just, for myself, and I may not be able to speak for a lot of, players or former players, but me, I needed that time to go out there and catch a pass from Peyton Manning, catch a pass from Andrew Luck, just to get that timing down, just because it's a different element, it's a different feel. And I really feel like right now, the first 2 weeks, a lot of teams are missing that. And I think, to be honest with you, that's my favorite team, Indianapolis Colts. I think these first 2 weeks was a preseason game for them. So right now, this week, I really feel like we're going to find out who they are, and it couldn't happen to, with a better opponent, with Tennessee Titans coming in for 1, a division opponent, and 2, a team where a lot of people have rated high. So they got a chance to show everybody what they can do.
I appreciate that response. Reggie Wayne joining us. He's appearing courtesy of DraftKings, which we will get into in a moment or two. Reggie, I had Aqib Talib on the show recently. We were talking about his trip to Canton for the induction of Peyton Manning. I know you were there as well for Peyton and Edgerrin James. What was that experience like for you, and to see those two guys go in?
Man, it was great. Whenever you get, teammates going in, you're excited for them. You're enjoying the experience, and these guys deserve it. They really do. I've watched these guys for years, put the hard work in, lead by example, become professionals. And man, I can go back, Jim, if you don't mind, like the last 3 or 4, Hall of Fames, I've been there. You know what I mean? So I've been there with, Bill Polian, Marvin Harrison, Tony Dungy, my college roommate and great friend, brother, Ed Reed, and then you have Peyton and Edgerrin, so like, man, I probably own a little stock somewhere in Canton. I've been there the last few years, you know what I mean? But man, I'm glad to see it, these guys going. We know that these is, once you're in there, you're amongst the elite of the elite. And just seeing my friends and teammates go in and coaches, it's outstanding. Well deserved.
Reggie Wayne joining us. Reggie, you're a candidate for the Hall of Fame yourself again this year. What's that process been like for you personally, and what would it mean for you to go in?
Personally, I'm just enjoying the ride. I've been blessed enough. This is my 3rd year, as you mentioned. I've been blessed to be a finalist the first 2 years. So I've been the last couple of years been the Queen of England. I just go around and wave, and I enjoy it. And I understand that's a process, and As much as you may think, you know that process, you don't. But so you just wait until they call your name or knock on your door, I should say. And once they do it, it will be an honor. I mean, it's only so many people. What is it, like 340 guys in a Hall of Fame? Like, it's great. Like, it's the elite of the elite. You can't get a higher honor than the Hall of Fame. And as a kid, I don't even know if I knew what the Hall of Fame was as a kid. I didn't want to be a football player when I was 7 years old to be a Hall of Famer. I just wanted to play football. That's all I ever wanted to do. That was my dream. So to live out my dream and being have an opportunity to be amongst the best to ever play, it'll be a humbling experience, man. It really would be, and I would be excited.
We're talking ball with Reggie Wayne. It is the most exclusive club there is. I got to ask you about this, too. You are joined on the list of modern era nominees by a couple of other Colts, including Reggie, one of my favorite guys ever, Bob Sanders. I've always been so mesmerized. I mean, like, so fascinated by Sanders and the intensity that he brought to it. What was he like as a teammate?
It was great. He really was. We knew if Bob was healthy and coming into a game, we know we had a higher chance of winning because, just like you say, he was going to bring that intensity. He was going to fire that defense up. He was going to figure out a way to create a turnover. And I think our defensive players, they loved when he was out there. He was one of those guys where, you look at him, he was quiet. He didn't say much, but you'll feel him when he come around you, especially if he hits you. And I always laugh at Bob, man. Bob had one speed at practice. He had 100 miles per hour. That's all he had. And we used to get on Bob, because there'd be a tip ball and Bob would be in practice diving for it. And we'd be like, whoa, Bob, we need you, bro. We need you for the game. And he was like, man, he said, watch, that same tip pass is going to happen in the game. And I just want to make sure I can make that play. And sure enough, it'll happen in the game. You know what I mean? Like, he just lived every day in practice as if it was game for him. And that's what you respect about him.
Such good stuff. And you are as you practice. Reggie Wayne joining us. Reggie, a while back, you were part of a panel with Ray Lewis, another guy you mentioned, Ed Reed, Michael Irvin, Jimmy Johnson in Miami. You guys were talking about the U and what you all built at Miami. When you look back on that time at Miami, what are the memories that stick out to you the most, and what was that experience like?
Man, the brotherhood, the fellowship. That's always what it is. Obviously, college football is different now. These guys can go and they can make money off the field, and stuff like that, But when we were in school, we knew, like, we all was on the same playing field. There was no money. We all had the same goal. We all wanted to be NFL players, and we all took care of each other. One thing about Miami when we were there, man, if one guy went out, everybody went out. We all stuck together no matter what. And that led to on the field play. We didn't want to let our teammate down. We knew we weren't going to win them all, but I know, look, every play you gave it everything you got, and I know, you know that I was going to do the same. And that's kind of how it was. And that's still how it is even after football. Like, we're still family. We still can call each other. We still can count on each other. We still can say, hey, man, like, I need you for this appearance. Can you make it? Yeah, man, I'm there. That's what we do. And man, I probably got about 5 or 6 chats on my, text messages, with different players from college. And, man, it lives on. It really does. And that's what you miss. Obviously, the games and stuff were fun and all that stuff, but just the stuff we did outside of the football, field, just hanging out and just talking stories. That's what you miss. Like my roommate was Ed Reed, and we just sitting back with the same vision, wanting to play in the NFL, wanting to, not even thinking about a Hall of Fame status. We just wanted to be good teammates and good players, and we sat back and we talk about that. And that's stuff we talk about today when we sit down. You're like, man, you remember sitting in the apartment and we sitting up there, just talking about, man, being good NFL football players and lining up across each other and things like that. And now he's in the Hall of Fame. I got a chance to be in the Hall of Fame. That's what makes all those times sweet. That's what we enjoy. That's what I miss the most.
I can't get enough of it. The brotherhood. I always love hearing those anecdotes and those stories. Reggie Wayne, my guest. We're kind of tight on time, but you, on that panel we mentioned, you were talking about a game against Syracuse that you did not play in because you got hurt. And Syracuse didn't just beat you guys, but they ran it up. You've called that kind of like a pivotal point, a critical point, a changing point of your entire life. How so?
Well, it was one of those things where I tore my ACL the week before, or the week of, I should say, and they ran the score up. Donovan McNabb and them ran the score up, man. They really did. They beat us 66-13, if I'm not mistaken. And what our receiver coach did, and they were going to the Orange Bowl. What our receiver coach did, he brought all the receivers back downfield and made us watch them celebrate. And we sat there and watched them throw oranges all across the field and fans cheering. And that kind of opened our eyes a little bit. That really did. That made us think, like, we got a lot of work to do, and we want to celebrate just like these people, And we went back on the plane, and we told that story to everybody, and it kind of, everybody, the plane got quiet, because, we looked at it like it was a form of a little bit of disrespect, but guess what? If we would have played better, they wouldn't have ran the score up. That's how we look at it, But it was just one of those things where we knew we had a lot of work to do. And from that point on, Jim, we vowed to become better players, better students of the game. And after that, we went on to play against NC. Actually, I want to say they went on to play UCLA. Edgerrin James had 300 yards, and then we played, against Torrey Holt and NC State in the Mike Brown PC Bowl, and we won that game. And after that, man, we just went on a string. We went 11-1, 12-0, and 12-0. Like, it just, to me, it opened up everybody's eyes and made us realize that, man, if we want to become a good team, look at these dudes celebrate. Remember this feeling. Remember how it felt. And it wasn't a good feeling. And we really grew from that.
Ask me, Reggie, you've got a Hall of Fame resume, Hall of Fame numbers, Hall of Fame career, Hall of Fame mindset for sure. So when you get that yellow jacket, you make sure you stop by here again, because I got a lot of other things I want to talk to you about. And I want to thank you very much for that conversation. That's how you do it. That's a great conversation right there.